At dinner, my dad said it, like it was obvious you got lucky. Only idiots pay you for what you do. So I looked at him and said, you still have a roof over your head. Thanks to those idiots. I grew up in a small Midwestern town, the kind where success means making manager at the local factory or marrying someone whose dad owns a car dealership. Population 8,000, but somehow still had 15 churches. Our house was this faded blue split level on the edge of town. Not terrible, but nothing special. Dad bragged about buying it for $65,000 back in the day, like he'd pulled off some genius investment. My dad, Tom, worked construction his whole life, complaining about his back pain every night while downing Bud Lights and watching Fox News. Classic tough guy act, all back in my day stories, and kids these days are soft nonsense. He'd work all summer, then get laid off every winter, and those months were hell at home. Mom Sandra was a part-time receptionist at a dentist's office who spent most of her time gossiping with the neighbors and watching those medical dramas where everyone's sleeping with each other between surgeries. My younger sister, Amy, dropped out of community college twice. She always had some new passion she needed money for. First, it was photography. Bought her a $2,000 camera she used twice. Then massage therapy. Paid for classes she quit after 2 months. Then some MLM skincare nonsense. Invested $3,000 in products still sitting in our parents' garage. She's 28 now and still finds a way to blame everyone else for her failures. I also had an older brother, Mike, who was the golden child athlete until he blew out his knee senior year. He got hooked on Oxy after the surgery, then harder stuff. He moved to Colorado 5 years ago, calls mom on holidays sometimes. He's the only one I don't blame for anything, just a guy who got dealt a bad hand and is trying to sort himself out. Me. I was the quiet middle kid, the one they only noticed when report cards came or the internet wasn't working. I got into software development when I was 16, taught myself coding while everyone else was partying or playing sports. My high school didn't even offer computer science. I had to learn everything from YouTube tutorials and free online courses at the library because our home internet was dial-up until 2010. Not even joking. Built my first profitable app at 19, a simple productivity tool that made me about $50 a day in ad revenue. Nothing crazy, but it was my first taste of making real money. By 22, I'd landed a remote senior developer position for a Silicon Valley company, 6-figure stock options, the works. They didn't care that I never finished college. They only cared that I could code circles around guys with CS degrees from Stanford. When I got that first job, I was still living at home. The plan was to save up for 6 months, then move out. But then Dad lost his job again, and suddenly they couldn't make the mortgage payment. So I stepped in, just temporarily, I thought. That temporary help turned into 9 blasted years of being the family ATM. My setup is incredibly sweet now, custom-built home office with a triple monitor setup mechanical keyboard that sounds like a machine gun when I'm in the zone, and a view of the mountains from my condo. Got a dedicated server rack in the closet running my personal projects. I'm not some flashy Instagram dev bro posting about hustle culture or whatever. I just grind, build, and stack cash. Every morning, I'd hit the gym at 5 o'clock, protein shake, then straight to coding by 7. That's my real life, the one they never understood or respected. Then I'd check my phone, 3 missed calls from mom, a text from Amy, asking when I'd be sending this month's help. My stomach would knot up. Being needed only for my wallet, never for me. Dad always called what I do playing with computers. Said I got lucky and it wasn't real work like breaking your back. Meanwhile, I'm making $245,000 base salary with bonuses and remote flexibility while funding their entire lifestyle. Every time I visited, he'd make some comment about how I should get a son or meet a real girl instead of those computer ones, whatever that means. Then in the same breath, he'd mention how the roof needed replacing or how they were thinking about a vacation to Florida. And for 9 years, I just took it. Nodded along, made the transfers, paid the bills, fixed their computers and phones for free, listened to them dismiss my entire career while living off the proceeds. I'd tell myself they were family, that I was helping them, that I was being a good son. What a joke it was. It was a Tuesday when everything changed. I still remember it perfectly. I'd been up since 4 o'clock in the morning finishing a major update for a client. Our team had been working on this deployment for months, and we finally pushed it to production around 9 o'clock. The release went smoothly. No major bugs, no rollbacks needed. My boss even sent me a personal message, killer work. I was riding that post-project high feeling accomplished and decided to take the rest of the day off. On a whim, I thought I'd surprise my parents with lunch. I hadn't been there in about a month since I'd been slammed with work. My mom's birthday was coming up too, so I figured I could get a sense of what she might want. Stopped by this Italian place they like, picked up some pasta and garlic bread. I parked a couple houses down, a habit from when I was a teenager, trying to sneak in late. As I walked up the driveway balancing the food containers, I heard laughter coming from the partially open window of the living room. I parked a couple houses down, a habit from when I was a teenager trying to sneak in late. As I walked up the driveway balancing the food containers, I heard laughter coming from the partially open window of the living room. Dad's voice carried clearly. The dumb fool thinks he's so important with his programming job, sitting on his backside all day pressing buttons while real men work. I froze on the spot, my hand halfway to the door. At least his button pushing pays our bills, my mom replied, but she was laughing too. That laugh cut deeper than any insult could. It wasn't the laugh of someone defending me, it was the laugh of someone who agreed completely. Did you see the way he talked about his promotion last month? Amy's voice now. Like we'd actually care about his nerd nonsense. Just tell us how much more money you'll be sending, Code Monkey. More laughter. Well, he didn't get my looks or charm, so I guess he had to be good at something. Dad said, his voice smug and dismissive. I edged closer to the window and peered in. They were sitting around the kitchen table, the same table I'd bought them last Christmas, along with renovating their entire kitchen. Dad was doing an impression of me, typing with exaggerated movements, hunched over and making dumb faces. Look at me, I'm Jake. I'm so smart with my computers. I make the big bucks but can't even change a tire or talk to real women. My sister was literally crying with laughter while Mom wiped tears from her eyes. Remember when he tried to explain his job at Thanksgiving and Uncle Bill just kept asking if he worked for the Geek Squad? Amy wheezed. Then Jake got all serious like, no, I'm a senior software architect. What the heck does that even mean? Dad mocked, making air quotes. It means he sends us money every month, so who cares? Amy replied, and they all laughed harder. Mom chimed in, then her voice carrying that fake concerned tone she used when talking about me to others. I worry about him though. Always alone in that apartment with his computers. No girlfriend, no real friends as far as I can tell. This was news to me. I had plenty of friends, other developers, gym buddies, my BJJ training partners. I just didn't parade them around my family because, well, why would I? Heck, probably one of those incel types, Amy said. All those tech guys are. Dad nodded sagely as if my 28-year-old sister, who still lived at home and had never held a job for more than 6 months, was some kind of relationship expert. Boy needs to toughen up. Get some real-world experience. The kicker. They were drinking expensive scotch I'd bought Dad for his birthday in the kitchen I'd paid to remodel, while Mom was wearing the designer watch I'd gotten her for Christmas. Well, we should probably lay off him until after he pays for your new car, Mom said to Amy, barely containing her smile. My new what? Amy perked up. Oh, I didn't tell you. Mom looked smug. I was thinking we'd ask Jake to help you get a new car for your birthday. That old Honda is on its last legs and you need something reliable. Holy cow, do you think he will? Amy was practically bouncing in her seat. Of course he will, Dad said with absolute certainty. He always does. Just got to feed his ego a little. Tell him how impressive his computer job is. I stood there, blood pounding in my ears, a strange calm settling over me. 9 years of supporting them. 9 years of monthly transfers paying off their mortgage funding. Amy's repeated attempts at college medical bills, car repairs, vacations, all while they saw me as nothing but a joke and an ATM. I'd always suspected they didn't respect what I did, but seeing it displayed so nakedly, hearing it in their own voices, something hardened inside me that would never soften again. I looked down at the food in my hands. Slowly, silently, I placed it on the welcome mat, the mat I'd bought them last Christmas. Then I took a picture of it sitting there with their front door in the background. Don't know why. Just felt important somehow, like documenting the moment everything changed. Then I walked back to my car and drove away. They never even knew I was there. I drove with no destination in mind, just driving knuckles white on the steering wheel, jaw clenched so hard my teeth might crack. I ended up at this overlook about 20 miles outside of town. Used to go there sometimes in high school when I needed to think. I sat on the hood of my car, staring out at the valley below, replaying their words in my head. The casual cruelty, the entitlement, the absolute certainty that I would continue to fund their lives while they mocked me behind my back. My phone buzzed. Mom, Jake, honey? When can we expect this month's money? Dad and I are thinking about that cruise to Alaska we talked about. Also, Amy needs first and last month's rent for her new apartment. I actually laughed out loud. The timing. Not even asking, expecting, demanding really. The entitlement sliced through me like a blade. What had I been to them all these years? Just a resource to be tapped whenever needed, while being laughed at behind my back 9 years. Almost a decade of my life funding theirs. All those nights I worked until 3 o'clock in the morning to meet deadlines while they complained I didn't visit enough. The promotions I earned through pure skill and grind while they dismissed my entire career as getting lucky. I'd paid off their mortgage 3 years ago, $112,000 remaining on the principal. Bought them a new roof, $22,000. New kitchen, $35,000. Helped Amy with her apartment deposits at least 4 times $12,000 total. Never got any of those back. Paid for her community college attempts, $18,000. Medical bills when dad needed back surgery, $47,000. Mom's car, $28,000. Christmas and birthday gifts that got more expensive every year because nothing was ever quite good enough. All told, probably close to $500,000 over 9 years, not counting the monthly allowance I sent them. $500,000. Could have bought a vacation home with that. Could have invested it and retired early. Instead, I'd handed it over to people who sat around a table calling me a code monkey while drinking my scotch. Something shifted inside me, a resolve hardening like steel being forged. No more. I pulled over at a rest stop, took out my laptop, and connected to the hotspot. I opened my banking app and stared at the shared family account, $112,000. My money. All of it. I'd been building this emergency fund for years, partly for them, partly because I was planning to help Amy with a house down payment eventually. Well, joke's on me. I transferred every cent to my private account, then closed the shared account permanently. Next, I blocked their numbers, all of them. Removed them from all my social media, changed my email, set up auto-forwarding for any messages from their addresses to go straight to trash. I went through my credit cards checking for any recurring payments related to them, found several Dad's fishing magazine subscription, Mom's streaming services, Amy's Spotify premium, their cell phone bill, canceled every single one. I checked insurance policies. My name was on their homeowner insurance as a co-signer to get them a better rate. Called the company, had myself removed, same with their car insurance. Complete digital and financial amputation. I stayed there in that rest stop parking lot for 3 hours, methodically cutting every tie, every connection, every way they could reach me or my money. It felt surgical, precise, like excising a tumor. Then I drove to my condo, walked in, poured myself 2 fingers of bourbon, and for the first time in years, felt something close to peace. The storm would come, I knew that. But in this moment of clarity, I finally understood what had been missing. I didn't need their approval. I never had. They needed my money, not the other way around. I spent the rest of the day setting up new security for my building. No more surprise visits. Called the building manager, explained I was having issues with family members showing up unannounced, asked that they not be allowed up without my explicit approval. He understood immediately, said it happened more often than I'd think. I was done being the family piggy bank. That night, I slept better than I had in years, like some weight had been lifted off my chest. I woke up the next morning actually feeling light-free. I went to work like normal, crushed my tasks, didn't check my phone for messages I knew would be piling up. Just focused on my code, my projects, my life. For the first time in nearly a decade, I wasn't carrying 3 extra people on my back. The storm hit exactly as expected. 3 days of constant attempts to reach me. Calls from blocked numbers, emails from new addresses, even a message through my company's website, contact form. Jake, honey, is something wrong with your phone? We've been trying to reach you for days. Jake, what's going on? Amy needs her rent money by Friday. Son, call your mother. She's worried sick. The credit card was declined when I tried to buy groceries. Call me ASAP. Jake, this isn't funny anymore. We're really worried about you. I ignored every single one. On day 4, they escalated. Mom called my boss. How she got his number, I'll never know. Claimed there was a family emergency and they needed to reach me immediately. Thankfully, my boss is cool. He just forwarded me her message and asked if everything was okay. I told him the truth, family drama, nothing serious, handling it my way. He just said, got it, and never mentioned it again. Then they started calling my friends, the few they knew about anyway. Old high school buddies I barely talk to anymore. A cousin I was close with, my gym partner. Again, no idea how they got his number. All with the same story, medical emergency, can't reach me, desperately worried. One by one, these people texted me asking what was going on. One by one, I explained briefly without drama. Family issues, nothing serious, taking some space. On the 4th day, the buzzer to my condo rang. I checked the security camera to see my dad standing there, face already red with anger. Sir, there's a man claiming to be your father here. He seems agitated. Should I allow him up? The concierge called. My heart hammered against my ribs, but I refused to hide. Send him up. The minutes waiting felt like hours. I paced my living room, adrenaline spiking. For a moment, I felt like that kid again, the one who got yelled at for spending too much time on the computer instead of helping with yard work. The one who was never quite good enough, never quite man enough for Thomas Winters. But I wasn't that kid anymore. I was a 31-year-old man who paid his own way, who had built something from nothing, who didn't need anyone's approval or support. Then came the knock. 3 hard, angry raps. I opened the door, standing at my full 6'2" shoulders, back arms crossed over my chest. Gone was the apologetic son always trying to please. In his place stood a man who'd finally had enough. What the hell is going on? Dad pushed past me into the apartment just like he always did, assuming he had the right. I closed the door, my voice calm and cold. Hello to you too. Your mother is worried sick. Your accounts are closed. You're not answering calls. What's this about? I heard you. That Tuesday at the house, I heard every word. His face went through a rapid series of expressions. Confusion, then recognition, then dismissal. What you mean us joking around, Christ, son? Don't be so sensitive. We were just having a laugh. At my expense while living on my dime. That's what families do. They tease each other. It doesn't mean anything. Then I guess the money I send doesn't mean anything either. His face darkened. Now, wait a minute. 9 years, Dad. 9 blasted years. I've been supporting this family, paying your mortgage, funding Amy's 3rd attempt at college, buying Mom new appliances and all, while you mock me, my career, and everything I've built. We're grateful for the help, but you're not grateful. You're entitled. You expect it as if it's your right to live off my work while treating me like some joke. His face was turning purple now. We're your family. That's what family does. They help each other. I laughed. Couldn't help it. Help goes both ways, Dad. When's the last time you helped me with anything? When's the last time any of you even asked about my work without your eyes glazing over, waiting for me to shut up so you could ask for money? He opened his mouth, closed it again. No answer. I heard you planning to ask me to buy Amy a new car after everything I've already given her. After paying for 2 degrees, she never finished. After 4 apartment deposits, she lost. She's going through a tough time. She's been going through a tough time since she was 19. She's 28, Dad. When does she start taking responsibility for her own life? That's not fair. Not everyone can be a fancy computer genius. I just stared at him. The dismissal of my hard work, my years of learning, my constant hustle, all reduced to fancy computer genius. As if I'd been born knowing how to code, as if I hadn't spent thousands of hours teaching myself, building projects, failing, learning, trying again. The bank is closed, I said simply, permanently. You can't just cut us off. We have bills, expenses. So does everyone. Get a job. Mom too. Amy definitely. Your sister has a job. Part-time at a coffee shop doesn't count when you're 28. Time to grow up. All of you. His face contorted with rage, the vein in his forehead throbbing. You ungrateful little jerk. After everything we've done for you, name one thing. I stepped closer, towering over him. One thing you've done for me in the last decade that didn't involve asking for money, he stammered. I taught you how to be a man. I actually laughed in his face. Is that what you think you did? You taught me that real men break their backs for minimum wage instead of using their brains. That real men drink beer and complain instead of solving problems. That real men leech off their kids instead of building something for themselves. He took a step back, genuinely shocked. I don't think anyone had ever spoken to him like this before. Get out of my house. This isn't over, he hissed, backing toward the door. Family is everything, Jake. You'll regret this. No, self-respect is everything. I just wish I'd learned that sooner. The door slammed hard enough to rattle the walls. I stood motionless in the sudden quiet, waiting for the guilt to come crashing down. It didn't. Instead, a strange lightness filled my chest, like putting down a heavy weight I'd carried for years, without realizing how much it had been crushing me. I sat down on my couch, the confrontation replaying in my mind. For the first time in my adult life, I'd stood up to my father, looked him in the eye as an equal. No, as someone who had surpassed him in every way that mattered. And I hadn't backed down. My phone buzzed with texts from Mom. Your father just came home. He's furious. What did you say to him? How could you treat him this way after everything he's done for you? Delete. Block the new number. Another buzz. This is Amy. WTF. Jake. Dad says you're cutting us off. Is this some kind of joke? Delete. Block. I turned off my phone, poured another bourbon, and put on some music. Tomorrow would bring more drama, more attempts to manipulate me, more guilt trips and anger. But tonight I was free. A month passed, then 2, then 6. I threw myself into work, picked up Muay Thai training 3 nights a week, something I'd always wanted to try, but never had time for because I was too busy dealing with family drama. Started dating again, met a cool programmer named Caitlin who worked for a competitor company. We clicked immediately, same dark humor, same work ethic, same boundaries with toxic family members. Bought a motorcycle I'd always wanted but had put off because the money always seemed to disappear into the family account. Nothing crazy, just a used Triumph Bonneville that I could work on in my spare time. Started taking weekend rides up to the mountains, discovering tiny towns and roads I never knew existed. My life was mine again. My money was mine again. My time was mine again. The attempts to contact me continued but grew less frequent. Mom tried different tactics: guilt, concern, anger. Amy was more direct, just demanding money for various emergencies, broken car, medical bills, rent. Dad didn't reach out at all. Too proud, I guessed. I didn't respond to any of it. The guilt faded faster than I expected. Each time I thought about breaking my silence, I remembered sitting on their driveway, hearing them laugh at me while drinking my scotch. Remembered 9 years of disrespect and entitlement. Remembered the look on my father's face when I finally stood up to him. Not hurt, not sad, but angry that his cash cow had finally stopped giving milk. The holidays were the hardest. Thanksgiving came and went, then Christmas. I spent both with friends, but there were moments alone when the family-shaped hole made itself known. Not because I missed them exactly, but because I missed the idea of what a family should be, the support, the mutual respect, the shared history that doesn't come with an invoice. By the 9-month mark, I'd gotten a major promotion, executive level, the kind of position that came with serious stock options and decision-making power. I was managing a team of 15 developers leading projects that actually made a difference. I bought a house, a real house with a garage for projects and a yard for the German Shepherd I adopted. Named him Rex. He'd been a rescue 3 years old, abandoned by a family that moved away and left him behind. We understood each other. I set up a proper workshop in the garage, started building furniture on weekends. Nothing fancy, just simple, solid pieces, tables, bookshelves, a bed frame. Working with my hands the way my father had always insisted real men should, but on my terms for my enjoyment, not out of necessity. For the first time in my adult life, my money was going toward my future, not paying for my family's past mistakes. I also started quietly donating to causes I cared about, coding boot camps for underprivileged kids, animal shelters, veterans, programs. Nothing that would get my name in the paper, just direct support for people who actually needed and appreciated it. Sometimes I'd look around at my life, the house I owned outright, the career I'd built from nothing, the dog sleeping at my feet, the girlfriend who respected my work and boundaries, and feel a sense of peace I'd never known before. I hadn't spoken to my family in almost a year, and I was thriving. It was almost exactly 1 year after I cut them off when I got the email. It came to my work address, which I rarely checked personally since my assistant handled it. Subject: financial information regarding Thomas Winters. Thomas Winters, my dad. The email was from a law firm representing a construction equipment rental company. They were seeking information about my father's assets in relation to an outstanding judgment against him. Curious despite myself, I called the number in the signature. "This is Jake Winters, returning your call about Thomas Winters." "Ah, Mr. Winters, thank you for getting back to us. As I mentioned in my email, we represent Highland Equipment Rentals in relation to an unpaid debt owed by Thomas Winters. Our records show that you have made substantial payments to Mr. Winters over the past several years, and we're trying to establish his current financial situation." "I haven't made any payments to my father in approximately 1 year," I said, keeping my voice neutral. "We're not in contact." "What's this about?" The lawyer hesitated, then apparently decided I was worth talking to. "Your father started a construction company about 10 months ago, Winter Construction LLC. He rented a significant amount of equipment from our client, failed to pay, and then damaged several pieces before returning them. The court has awarded our client damages of $887,000, but we've been unable to collect. 10 months ago, right after I cut him off. Interesting timing. I have no knowledge of my father's business ventures," I said truthfully. "And as I mentioned, we haven't been in contact for about a year." "I see. Our investigation of your father's finances showed regular large transfers from your accounts to his over a period of several years. We were hoping those might still be occurring, as Mr. Winters appears to have no significant assets of his own. Those transfers stopped permanently a year ago. I have no financial connection to my father anymore. Understood." Thank you for your time, Mr. Winters. After hanging up, I sat back in my chair, an unexpected laugh escaping me. The irony was too perfect. Dad had always criticized my career choice, my work ethic, my easy money, and now he tried to prove himself by starting a business and crashed and burned spectacularly. My curiosity piqued. I did something I hadn't done in a year. I Googled my family. Nothing about Mom or Amy, but Dad's name pulled up several results, a business license filing a local newspaper article about new businesses in the area, and then, something more recent, a court docket. I clicked on it. Case after case, small claims, civil suits, mechanics liens, all against Winter Construction, LLC, and Thomas Winters personally. Apparently, Dad had taken out loans, rented equipment, hired workers, and taken deposits for jobs, then failed to complete the work, damaged equipment, and left a trail of angry customers and creditors in his wake, all in less than a year. 2 weeks later, I received another email. This one from my mother, sent to every address she could find for me, including my work email and even my gaming accounts. Jake, I know you're still angry with us, and maybe we deserve it, but things have gotten very bad here. Your father's business failed, and we're going to lose the house. The bank is foreclosing next month. Amy moved back home because she couldn't afford her rent. We have nowhere else to turn. Please, if you ever loved us at all, we need your help. Just this once. At the bottom was a GoFundMe link. I clicked it out of curiosity. Help the Winters family save their home. $342 raised of $180,000 goal. The description was a masterpiece of selective truth, medical issues, bad luck, economic downturn. Not a word about the mismanaged business, the wasted opportunities, or the years they'd lived off my income while mocking my career. The comment section was illuminating. A few sympathetic messages from distant relatives and church friends, but also this: Tom Winters took a $5,000 deposit to remodel my kitchen, demolished everything, then disappeared. Now my family has been cooking on a hot plate for 3 months. Scam. And this man owes my brother $88,000 in unpaid wages. He hired him for construction work, then claimed he didn't have the money to pay him. Now he's begging online. Disgusting. I closed the tab without donating. Then on a whim, I searched my dad's name online again, this time adding news to the search. There he was in a local news article from 3 weeks earlier. The headline, "Local Contractor Faces Fraud Allegations." According to the article, Dad had taken deposits for renovation jobs, started demolition, then abandoned the projects when he ran out of money, leaving several local families with partially destroyed homes. The article included a quote from him. "My son is a successful tech executive. He'll make this right." My name dragged into his mess, still expecting me to clean up after him even after a year of silence. I was seething. The absolute nerve of him to fail so spectacularly through his own arrogance and mismanagement, then publicly volunteer my money to fix it. My phone rang. Unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. Jake, don't hang up, it's Amy." My sister's voice sounded different, strained, desperate. "What do you want, Amy? I know you've seen the GoFundMe. I know you're still mad about whatever you're mad about, but this is serious. They're going to arrest Dad if we don't pay back at least some of the money. Mom's having panic attacks. We're going to be homeless in 3 weeks. That sounds like a series of consequences for Dad's actions. How can you be so cold? We're family. Family respects each other. Family doesn't mock each other behind their backs. Family doesn't take and take for years and then expect more. That was just stupid joking around. Everyone vents about family. While living entirely on my dime. No, Amy. That's not how it works. She started crying, the same crying she used to do when she wanted a new car or tuition for another degree she'd never finish. So you're just going to let them go to jail. Let us be homeless. Is that who you are now? I took a deep breath. Dad made his choices. You've made yours. I made mine. What's that supposed to mean? It means no. No more money. Not 1 cent. You're all adults. Figure it out. You heartless bastard, she screamed. Her crying instantly replaced by rage. After everything we've done for you, Mom was right. Money changed you, made you think you're better than us. I was always better than you, Amy. I just didn't realize it until now. I ended the call, turned off my phone, and took Rex for a long hike in the mountains. The air was clear. The views were spectacular. Freedom felt better than I'd ever imagined. 3 weeks later, I was in Seattle for a tech conference when I received a text from a number I didn't recognize. It's Mom. New phone. Emergency. Please call. Against my better judgment, I called. Jake? Her voice sounded small, broken in a way I'd never heard before. What is it? Your father, he's in jail. Fraud charges. They're saying 3 to 5 years. I said nothing. We lost the house yesterday. The bank took everything. Amy and I are staying at a motel, but we only have enough for 3 more nights. Still silence from me. Jake, please. I know we hurt you. I know we took you for granted. But we have nowhere else to turn. What about all your friends? The neighbors you've known for decades? Dad's buddies from work? They've all turned against us because of the fraud stuff. The Hendersons lost their life savings because of your father's business. The Miller's kitchen is still torn apart. No one will help us. Jesus Christ, it was even worse than I thought. That's not my problem, Mom. How can you say that? We're your family. Family doesn't treat each other the way you treated me. It was just teasing. We didn't mean anything by it. Yes, you did. You meant every word. You never respected me, my work, or what I built. You just wanted the money it provided. She started sobbing. I'm sorry. We're sorry. I didn't understand. I was wrong. Your father was wrong. Please, Jake, we have nothing. No one. The sobbing continued on the other end of the line. I sat there in my hotel room looking out at the Seattle skyline, feeling nothing. Not satisfaction at their downfall, not guilt for their situation. Just nothing. Jake, please. We have nowhere else to turn, my mother repeated between sobs. I took a deep breath. I'll make you a deal, I said finally. I'll pay for 3 months in a basic apartment, not a nice one. Basic. I'll pay Amy's tuition for 1 degree program if she maintains a 3.5 GPA and works part-time. If she drops out again, it's over. I won't pay any of Dad's legal fees or restitution. He made his bed. As for you, Mom, you'll need to get a job. Any job. But I haven't worked in years. McDonald's is always hiring. The silence stretched between us. Your father always said you were the cold-hearted one, she whispered. I never believed him until now. I laughed, genuinely amused. Still trying the guilt trips. Huh? Offer rescinded. Good luck, Mom. I ended the call and blocked the number. My phone buzzed with an email from Amy. I know Mom just blew it with you. She told me what she said. Please don't punish me for her mistake. I'll take your deal. Any conditions? I'll work. I'll study. I'll keep a 4.0. Just please don't leave us with nothing. I'm begging you, Jake. I was wrong about you. So wrong. Attached was a photo Amy and Mom sitting on a motel bed surrounded by garbage bags filled with what looked like clothes and personal items, the remaining possessions of a family that had once lived comfortably on my dime. I stared at the image for a long time. Not with satisfaction or pleasure, just nothing. They were strangers to me now. The people who had raised me, who I'd supported for years, reduced to desperate strangers begging for help. I drafted a simple response. I'll have a lawyer contact you tomorrow with terms. 1 mistake, 1 slip, and it's over for good. I had my attorney draft a contract, an actual legal contract with specific conditions, a small 2-bedroom apartment paid directly to the landlord, tuition paid directly to the school, a modest monthly stipend for groceries and essentials administered through a prepaid card that I could monitor and cut off instantly if needed. Amy would provide proof of employment and school attendance monthly. Mom would show proof of job applications, then employment. Everything is documented. Everything is conditional. Nothing in their control. Dad wasn't included. He could serve his time and figure out his own life afterward. When they signed the papers, my lawyer reported that my mother cried. Not from gratitude, he thought, but from humiliation. Having to sign a contract to receive help from her son, having to prove she deserved it. Good. Maybe that feeling, that burn of humiliation, that loss of entitled expectation, would finally teach her what I'd been feeling for 9 years. 6 months later, Amy was actually doing well in school. Computer science, ironically enough. Turns out she had some aptitude for it when she actually applied herself. Mom was working reception at a dental office, the same job she'd had years ago, but had quit because working was too stressful. I never visited them. Never called. All communication went through my lawyer or via email, clinical, detached, businesslike. Sometimes I felt a twinge of something. Not quite guilt, not quite nostalgia, just acknowledgement of what was lost. But then I'd remember their laughter at my expense, and the feeling would pass. Dad wrote me 1 letter from prison. I had my assistant scan it and email it to me. Son, I know I messed up. Not just with the business, but with you. I was jealous. You made it look so easy making all that money while I struggled my whole life. I should have been proud, but instead I was bitter. I hope someday you can forgive me, but I understand if you don't. I read it once, then deleted it. Maybe someday I'd be ready to engage with that. But not now. Not yet. My life continued to improve. Caitlin and I got engaged. The company went public, making my stock options worth millions. Rex got a brother, another German Shepherd rescue named Max. The family that had drained me for years was now living by my rules, surviving on my terms. Learning the hardest lesson of all, that respect isn't optional, it's fundamental, that you don't mock someone while taking their money, that actions have consequences. I don't know if we'll ever have a real relationship again. Some bridges stay burned. But I do know this, I'll never again let anyone use me as an ATM, never again fund my own disrespect, never again put my life on hold to clean up someone else's mess. That man is gone. In his place stands someone stronger, someone who finally understands that real family, whether blood or chosen, lifts you up instead of dragging you down. And that's a lesson worth every painful moment it took to learn.